this. And so there is some gap between an authentic reading of Aristotle and what he wants to do, but that's done in the interest of realism.
Teaching is about interacting with another human being and learning something, getting some sense of where your mind was when you started the conversation, which is what this is, a four-year conversation. And of course, I think that's really what it's all about.
This is the type of place that really, for 4 years, you're permitted to have random obsessions, to do anything you want. I'm never alienated here.
The way I teach is that I will saturate myself in the subject, just like an actor would in a part, but then in a way ad lib it. It's almost like playing jazz. And connections happen that would never happen if I was more reasonable.
These guys knew all this. Camus knows this. He's seen the absurdities this gives rise to, and he says, I develop a sense of the what? The absurd. Of course these guys get depressed. Wouldn't you?
I enjoy pushing myself and testing new things, and I think the university provides that atmosphere. It is there if you want it.
There are some clear pockets of intellectual intensity that distinguish themselves. There's a coterie in writing, there's a coterie in political science, there's Johnston.
I just got back from Iowa visiting, and all my relatives want to know the same thing, you know, what are you doing with your life, and explain to me about this school you're going to and everything. And I said, well, I'm at Redlands, and I'm at this sort of inner school called Johnson Center.
I wanted somewhere where I could study what I wanted to study. For example, I wanted to learn about Greek tragedy and the origins of Greek history. And I went to my advisor and I said, I want a class in this.
Johnson isn't something, it's more of a process. It's like what Hemingway said, a movable feast.
I don't know how to explain it, but I knew something was buzzing over there, and I knew I had to get smart.
Johnson students still like to proclaim their differences, and they do so with a certain arrogance that they enjoy. University students still like to proclaim their mainstream values.
And that way, it's really a close community. I mean, that way, Redlands and Johnson, I mean, there's no Redlands and Johnson, it's one.
When I first came to the university, I very quickly discovered that the writing program was really the place where I wanted to be. When you learn writing from a writer, there's really that bond of writers, that brotherhood, knowing that they struggle with it just like you do.
A blonde, pure girl holds her blonde twin sister's hand, while I sit watching on soft gray concrete with my bony cold knees together.
I started the University of Redlands Poets Society. That first night it was Blake, Whitman, Carl Sandburg, and Allen Ginsberg. I dressed up as Allen Ginsberg, and it was just out of a desire to make poetry accessible to students who ordinarily would dread going to a poetry reading.
Well, more than liberal arts, we are considered comprehensive because we have applied areas like business and engineering. The neat thing about the Senior Design Project is it incorporates all aspects of engineering.
Okay,
sure.
Ready.
All right.
No load.
Go ahead, Doyle.
Feel voltage.
Kickstarter.
Watch the ground.
Watch the ground and the voltage connections. You don't want to knock them off again.
We're building a hybrid vehicle. Our goal is to be able to drive at about 40 miles an hour. And when we finish, it will be our project. We will have done it, and we will have solved the problems.
I'm majoring in chemistry, and also I have interests in the area of business, and so no problem crossing over and taking business courses. At the same time, I've had Russian literature, French language, Italian art, and the list goes on.
That we shouldn't have been surprised that a Cold War revived the long-standing potential Soviet-U.S. differences.
We isolate and we see an incident and we sort of get to capture what's going on in their mind.
Yeah, I think that is a very good point and very important, for, especially with those of you who are working in Faulkner, to remember that as a matter of fact, these...
No sé un panadero, no conozco. No conozco un panadero.
It's the second finger to one. Open your hand, stay in half position. Right. No, stay in half position. Stay in half position. Higher the, a little higher the... When I play the suite in its entirety, I like to just end on the low C.
I knew right when I got to the campus, You know, I had this feeling like it could be mine. My first inclination was to be the party animal. It didn't last too long.
I like it here because the mountains are really close.
And then you go to the other side, and there's the desert, a huge desert, Joshua Tree. Rock climbing is the weirdest place. It's like being in the Flintstones or something. And you know, there's the beach in LA. There's some guys that were surf guys. They get up at 4 in the morning, drive to the beaches and surf for an hour and come back before classes.
I've taken courses here in golf, tennis, and weightlifting. The reason with the tennis was because I am not very sporting, so I keep trying. But
what I do for fun is just whatever's going on.
Parties, movies, speakers, musical events.
Someone says, we're going for pizza, let's go. And the spontaneity of the dorm.
Yeah, we'll go to Carl's. I don't want to eat very much. We have that barbecue. Oh, come on, Marcy. Come on. It's time to gain weight. Come on. I'm on a diet. We got the door. You're always on a diet.
For a small university, this place has options.
I cannot imagine coming to Redlands and not going abroad. I went to Spain last spring, lived with a family, and got on the metro every morning and went down to classes. It was the best semester of my life.
I thought up an independent study about the African religions of Brazil. I made a class format of keeping a journal, taking photographs, going to these rituals, and writing a paper.
Field trips are central to the academic experience. How much better can you find an art history course than one which stands beneath the Sistine Chapel? How better to understand the politics of East and Western Europe than standing next to the Berlin Wall or passing through Checkpoint Charlie?
One of the things I'd like to get across is that even here, there are people who want them to be tired and frazzled. Because what I've discovered about learning is that if you work to a certain point, you'll learn a bit. But if you go beyond that, work through the fatigue, the frustration, and come out the other side, then you really start doing something. You discover another self.
I've been able to make sure that my beliefs are mine. I've had the chance to have them challenged, to realize that I believe this because I believe this, not because someone else told me to.
This has been the most amazing experience. I mean, these people are with me. They're my family. Professors, students, people who left a long time ago. When we recruit people, we take them and we pass down the crown. And it really is a crown to be passed. You know, you get into the place and they cuddle you up with blankets. And then you gotta take those blankets off finally, and I leave with a real sense of yes.